Hey, by the way, they didn't figure out that the top part of the door to their run was open. They don't think that way. Not
Honestly,
a good option.
They haven't spent as much time in there as they used to when they were younger, you know, going up every night. And so back then, early in the morning, if they wanted to get out before we came and let them out, they would fly around. They'd hit the door, they'd hit the walls. Now as adults, they're just like, yep, door's closed, they'll be up in a little bit. Bruno's gonna go visit them. Hey guys, welcome back to K&S Get Out.
So we talked in our last video about the egg saga, the bird saga, whatever you want to call it. And it's not over yet, unfortunately.
So the guinea chasing, the guinea egg hunt, the guinea nest hunt, the guinea protection, egg nest protection, the whole 9 yards.
The guinea saga.
The guinea saga is nowhere near consistent. I think that's the word for it. If you guys look, man, some of these are ruts from the tractor. But as I'm studying and as I'm walking out here more and I'm trying to follow the birds and find where their nests are, these guys and gals are literally causing trails through the grass. I mean, that's how much time they're spending, which I'm not going to complain because they're on our property, but that's how much time they're spending over here. I would assume some of it's foraging, eating, maybe hiding, a little bit of protection. We still have predators that want to eat our guineas and their eggs. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Did you see where our pup went?
I think he's over by the run.
Okay, let me go get him real quick and then...
No, I'm in the run, Mom.
Bruno, get over here!
Bruno might not have his e-collar on right now. We just threw it on the charger for a little bit, and he's been out for quite a while. So he's got his regular collar on. I was hopeful that he wouldn't really know that's not his e-collar. Good boy,
he's
good
like, I know, thank you, that's a good boy.
When we're out of energy, our listening skills diminish just a little bit.
Leave him alone.
Let him be, dude.
He's like, I'm just herding them into a smaller group.
Yeah, he says, Nala taught me this. Hang on, watch my trick.
Bruno, leave it.
Bruno, we want him to stay here, buddy. You as well. Come here, bub.
Come here.
Come on, Bruno. Puppy training. It also continues. All of it. It just keeps going on. But as you guys know, or if you don't know, if you haven't seen our last couple videos, we stumbled across a nest of the guinea eggs over here on the other side of that brush pile. And I think there was, what, a dozen in that one? So we saw a dozen in there. Shannon and I are still, I don't want to say in disagreement, but I'm going to say that we don't agree on it. I was under the impression that those eggs were not there before I pushed that brush pile up, because if they were, I would have destroyed them. Shannon thinks I narrowly missed them. And so we're just gonna agree to disagree. Oh crud, I am gonna say we disagree. And that's totally fine. I think somebody's a little too tired to be in the video today.
Yep.
Hey, that's not what we do. No bite. He's got a little bit of zoomy. He's just this much energy left. So he's debating whether or not he wants to be good or bad.
Yeah.
So far it's about 50-50.
Stay out of that run.
Now it's 100% bad.
We had to put the crazy puppy up. He couldn't cut it.
Now.
So this 12 dozen that...
12 dozen?
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of eggs.
This dozen eggs that we found over here by the burn pile, I went ahead and collected them, washed them. They're in the fridge right now. So I did float them all. They were all still good. And now they're just ready to be eaten.
So when are we having eggs? We're excited to test those. In fact, the dogs are the only ones that have had the guinea eggs.
Yeah.
Which Herc had some that were raw. And then we started scrambling them before we
Yeah, because it didn't
them.
settle with his belly very well.
So the first dozen that we stumbled across, collected, ready for eating. The second bunch was the large nest that was over here. And I think at its peak, we counted 30, give or take.
I think it was 30.
About 30 eggs, which is about the amount they want in the nest before they will start actually incubating. And we kind of saw some of that. Well, I was over here trying to play and get that fire going. There's a lot of way too freshest stuff in there. So I put a little additives on it and tried to get it going. Had a decent little fire going on the inside, but it's just too wet and not ready. But Shannon was out here and all of a sudden I hear a squeal. Is that a good word for it?
I don't know that it was a squeal. It was more like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
That's it. That's what it was.
So you guys know we talked about grabbing the eggs from the big nest, but I was waiting until the birds weren't like hovering around it to try to get them, because my fear is if they see us taking their eggs, they're gonna stop laying there. Well, that didn't really matter. So I was out here the other day checking on the eggs and like kind of prepping myself to try to take some, and I found something that I was not expecting, honestly. I did have to holler at Kyle because as I walked over to the nest, I realized that something was eating our eggs and it was in the process of eating them. Oh no, guys, check this out. He got himself an egg. I can't believe the birds haven't caught him yet. That's a bummer. Birds, you should be over here taking care of this thing. Oh, he's already moved a little bit, babe.
Yeah, he'll move a little bit, but he can't be super duper active. He can bite. They're non-venomous, but...
So when I first came up here, his head was over here sticking out.
Yeah.
And you could see the egg inside him.
You still can. Look further down his body. You'll see that the whole way down. I don't honestly know how with a guinea egg, how that works.
But he's like on top of the eggs now.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
I think he ate 2 eggs, babe.
You'll see him in his body. If you see an egg, you think there's another one, you will blatantly see 2.
Oh, he's getting ready to eat another one.
I'm gonna kill it.
This is my good boy. You stay right here with Mama.
He's done. I'm about to lose him. Dadgum, man.
Can you see the eggs in his belly?
Oh yeah, right there.
Yep.
I'm right in front of the egg right now. In fact, that's what's oozing out of him. That's yolk. It's a good snake, man. We like that snake. He can't be eating our egg.
Just found the nest and this happens. He was going after another one.
Well, and it sucks because that is a rat snake. That's a good snake to have for mice, for rats, for other copperheads and things. But he's also the perfect snake that's gonna come for your guinea eggs, chicken eggs, whatever.
Dang it.
Golly,
That's so bittersweet.
bittersweet. It's a good word for it.
It's so bittersweet.
I didn't
Hey, look.
want to do that. If I had to guess, this is the guy that I saw down there. This is about the size. And I can tell you right now, you take a yardstick and hold it right here. It's a 3.5, 4 foot bird. It ain't a bird.
It's a snake, not a bird.
Ah.
If we got a 3.5 foot, 4 foot bird out here, I'm scared.
Come our guineas now because we're over by the nest. I'll
Yep.
Chuck this in the woods, babe.
Okay. Sorry, birds, but we saved some of the eggs. Good boy, Bruno. Just stay right there. Good boy. Yeah, that's gross.
So as you guys know, we had the raccoon disturb the first nest. I set those traps and I put 3 guinea eggs in each trap, and I even broke one a little bit because I know they're a thicker shell. And my hope was to catch the raccoon so that we could let the guineas continue trying to hatch their own eggs or do what they would naturally. The problem is we put a camera on it and the raccoon is too smart. He's been around, maybe he's been around here a long time and smelled when I had the traps up here, but he just inspected the traps from a distance, you know, just kind of reached out, was like, no, did it to both of them, moved on, and continued to pull from the nest. So that was when we decided the guineas gave up. They didn't like the raccoon's presence, they were done with it. So we knew we had a raccoon problem with the eggs and the guineas. But Mr. Bruno, not too long ago, got bit in the leg by a snake, and we don't know exactly what kind of snake it was, but after all the research, trip to the vet, talking to other people, we don't think it was venomous. And the most prevalent snake we have out here besides copperheads, which are venomous, are those big rat snakes, just like the ones we had down in the old hay storage. And that's why we had to build that new hay shed, because Shannon didn't want to reach in under that tarp. It was all Shannon, not me. And encounter a snake. Well, the only snakes I've seen this year are rat snakes. In our case, they are long black snakes up on top. There is some coloration beyond the black, and then they got a white belly. And I had just checked the nest over here. It all happened so fast and we had to think quickly, but he had eaten an egg for sure, at least one. And I don't really know how many eggs or things they will eat, or just like you would expect when they eat those, you can see them going down their body. They're larger than their body, but guinea eggs are a little bit smaller. So that rat snake, being about 4 feet long, you know, pretty thick snake, said, I'm gonna see how many of these I can get down. So when I came over to evaluate, you know, he was moving slow because he had eaten at least one, but he wasn't done.
Well, as I was over here watching him and hollering at Kyle, he started eating another egg, and then I really kind of got freaked out.
Yeah.
I wish I would have kept on recording, but I went into panic mode, and I stopped and started yelling at Kyle.
Well, and our fears were twofold. One, we don't want him to deplete the entire egg population over here, and two, we don't want to come over to see the nest or check on the nest and him be within the proximity. We step a little too close. They are not clean biters. They're not aggressive snakes, especially, you know, toward us. They typically, if we encounter one, they just want to get away. And in most cases, that's exactly what we do. We love rat snakes. If you look up what they do all the things we need them to do, eating the little mice and rats, and we've actually heard that they will eat other copperheads, which is fantastic. So they're a friend of ours, just like our owls. We hate the owls. So we made the decision on the fly. I had a pew-pew on me, and we took care of this rat snake to save our guinea nest. We decided that was the best decision, at least in the 2 seconds that we took to think about it, and that snake is no longer around. Well,
he's gone.
I looked where I threw him, and he was gone the very next day. But yeah, he was going to town on those eggs. And we know, I mean, think about it, if we had left him alone, or even if I had relocated him out into the woods, he's gonna come right back.
Oh, yeah.
Why not? It's a buffet of guinea eggs.
30 eggs sitting there.
Not to mention, you know, we see mice and rats and things running around here all the time. So there is plenty for them to eat, but there's plenty out there and elsewhere, and there's a lot more rat snakes. So our goal is to do the best we can to kind of move swiftly once we find the nest. That's what we're learning, because we're on our that was our third official nest. Official. Aside from the Easter egg hunts when we first started it.
Yeah, and then that dozen over there.
Yeah. So, you know, we haven't had a lot of experience, and you can look up what people do and everything, but ultimately, the way that these guys are wired, they're laying their nest on the ground. I made those 2 little brooder squares inside the run, put straw in it. They're like, no. we don't want you to know right where it's at.
Yeah.
We want this taller prairie grass stuff. And so it's a game at this point. I think that's what we're gonna call it. That way we enjoy it. And so I haven't brush hogged all this up here. And I've told you a part of that is I like the goats to eat up here. This prairie or pasture, more or less, is a great way for us to save money on hay and grain. But we have found it's also exactly where the guineas gravitate toward to make their nests.
And I think they eat the bugs up here too.
Yeah, they've got
a lot of bugs.
Plenty to eat. And it's quite funny actually, it's now tall enough that when they're up here you can't see them. And so as you start to walk up, there will be a little head pop up, you know, and it's usually Gray that's first, and then he starts doing his little talking. We've been studying the guineas and where they've been going and all that. Of course, Shannon did go ahead and collect the rest of those eggs. There was one egg that suffered a little collateral damage from me executing the snake because he was on top of it, all of them. So I got one shot on him. He then moved off the nest. You know, snakes, typically you get them in one shot, but you know, there's nerves and they keep moving and all that. So he got about 3, I believe. I don't know. I just went until he stopped moving, and I even went to put my foot on him and he was still with it enough to curl up and say, this is gonna be a problem. And I said, nah, no, it's not. So snake gone. So snake is gone. Nest is collected. We've got the clean ones for eating. How many did you collect from that nest that were not destroyed in the battle?
There were 20 some. I haven't counted them all, but there were over 20, almost 30 that we can use.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we made the executive decision, and Miss Shannon started doing all the research. I'm so proud of her because I didn't have to do it. We did get the incubator from retired Ralph's Rental Emporium. Thanks, Dad. That's Grandpa Doss Farms. Shannon looked up that specific model, looked up the settings. You know, Dad did chickens, incubated chicken eggs, and had a pretty good success rate. And everything we have found, or not everything, but most folks do a similar system to chicken eggs. And then there are some who strictly farm guineas that have a little bit fine tuning better suited for the guinea eggs. So I think Shannon really dove deep and has got all the settings down to a T, perfected and ready to go. We're gonna incubate, starting today, how many eggs?
22.
22.
We're gonna fill the incubator up. It'll hold 22 eggs, so that's what we're gonna put in it. And I do have to say, this is kind of my disclaimer. This is our first time doing it. I'm not here to tell anybody how to do this. I'm just here to share what we are doing. And because the eggs were gross, they had some blood on them. And
one of the eggs had cracked. There was
the
yolk.
egg that got hit splattered yolk everywhere.
Yeah.
So I know after doing research that you do have to have fairly clean eggs in there. So I understand that you're not supposed to clean eggs before you put them in an incubator. However, after doing some research, I found that you can wipe them with a solution of 50-50 hydrogen peroxide and water. So I took some cotton balls this morning, cleaned them all up because I don't want snake blood in there. I don't want yolks in there, like all the things. So I cleaned them and we are ready to put them in the incubator.
Nice.
If they hatch, great. And
when
if
they
don't,
hatch.
It's okay. It's a learning process.
All right, well, Shannon's gonna be nice to you. I'm gonna tell you how to do it. We're gonna do it. Shannon's gonna learn the ways to do it, and then I'm gonna be confident in her ways. And we're either gonna have 22 guineas or a few less, or we're gonna have absolutely none, and we're just gonna have to do this again. And I think this is going to continue. What we now, you know, mentally, whenever you first run into them having to abandon a nest, you're like, oh, they're done laying. They're done laying. Or they're just laying individual eggs here and there. They're just dropping them wherever. Well, I think now that they've become adult guineas, if you will, they're about a year old. They're
a little over a year old.
Yeah, this month. I mean, so these are adult guineas now. And I think the random egg drops are done. I don't think, you know, that was like them learning, like, whoa, there's an egg coming out of me. Oh, there it is. Oh, crud. Okay, what do we do? And so then I think they had a guinea council meeting. They got together, they decided, hey, why don't we all lay them in the same place? And then Bob, the pearl one, can incubate them, lay on them, protect them. And then Larry, the gray one, will stay out in the woods. Those are Bob and Larry, I don't know. So,
Gary the
gray.
Larry.
That's right, Larry's my goat down there. We didn't talk about names, so I'm just making this stuff up. So I think they have fallen into their natural tendencies now. Anytime they're dropping eggs, they do it as a team, and they are starting new nests, more or less. The problem is, all of them are on the ground, susceptible to, I mean, this prairie, holy cow, this is perfect place for rat snakes. And I will say, our raccoons and our coyotes, they will come out into this cleared area, but they try not to. Unless they're starving, We did have that one coyote come out here. It was during mating or breeding season.
But he was even over by the run.
He was over by the run, you know, so our predators kind of seem to stay at bay at the wood line, specifically the back of the property, because there's obviously acres and acres of woods back there. But guys, make no mistake, if they know there's something over here to eat, or they know something lives over here that they want to hunt, they're coming out here for sure. You just don't know when they're gonna do it. All right, so now we know we have guineas. They are adult guineas that do guinea things. Our problem is anytime a nest is no longer functional, it's a hunt. We have to listen for the guineas and hear where they are.
And watch them.
And watch them. And we know, you know, a lot of times, like if the hens are over here eating, Gray and one of the other pearl males will be about in that brush pile, and they're just kind of keeping an eye on things. And so yesterday, which was the day after the snake got that nest and we collected everything, we were on high alert of like, man, we're back to the hunt. Where are these guineas gonna lay? But, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this on camera, do you see the little, where it's all, I'm gonna say it, mushed down? Some of that is the goats. When they come up here and graze, obviously they're larger, but more of it than we know is actually from the guineas. There's a perfect little path through the grass over here, and they all hang out over there and eat, and then they come up here and they stay over here. I mean, there's ticks and bugs and grubs and things in here for them to eat. And so they were all over here yesterday. I heard them. So I came running out to my guineas like, oh, I know that sound. And our guineas like to lay from about 1 p.m. till maybe 3:30ish.
I don't know.
That's when I catch them, or at least I think I catch them. And so they were all gathered right around here. I looked down, sure enough, we're starting a new nest already. Yay.
Yeah, but I did feel bad because when we were out here, one of the hens was ready to lay and she went to the old nest and she was just like crying out like, my eggs are gone, my eggs are gone, the nest is gone, the nest is gone. So
it was a little
I felt
sad.
Really bad for her because she was walking around trying to find a new place to lay.
Yeah, and she was a little bit bow-legged, like she was walking kind of funny, and she had her tail feathers up a little high. So I knew she either had to go real bad or she needed to drop an egg. But based on the time of day that it was, I think it was egg laying time. She went over there, probably smelled. Can guineas smell? I don't know.
Surely they can.
Oh yeah. But she realized, hey, there's snake blood here, and one of my eggs has been broken. All the eggs are gone. So they had their council meeting and they decided, let's drop them over here. And I kid you not,
Council meeting.
in the council meeting, the other guineas were like cheering, like drop, 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 drop. And the hens were just sitting there, you know, and two of them were just like doing a little thing, and all of a sudden they move and there's 2 eggs laying there. So that's where the new nest is. That's where we've got to check multiple times throughout the day now. And we're going to continue this process, but I know I've mentioned it before. We have so many ticks, guys. I'm regularly bitten every single day, typically multiple times a day. And I've put on so many layers of spray. I've tried the rubber boots with no socks and shorts, and I've tried all the layers with long socks and tall boots. And at some point, no matter what we're wearing, no matter how much spray is on us, if you're walking past them, you're gonna pick up ticks. In fact, the next time you see a tick on a wall or a tree or some kind of building, get real close, not too close, but look, and a couple of their little legs are sticking up in the air, and they got super suction magnets on them. It's the weirdest thing. You do not have to touch them. You don't. Somehow, I don't know if they can jump.
They're like magnetized to you.
Yeah, it creeps me out a little bit, because I'll see one and I'm like, I ain't touching you. I'm just moving on, or I'll stop and kill it. And then I'll walk about 2 feet, I look down and boom, he's on my hand. It's the weirdest thing. I do think that they don't fly, they fall with style. They do that from trees. It's just like spiders when they're born. If it's up in a tree or somewhere high, they just drop, let out a little bit of their spider string and float. And it looks like flying spiders, and it's pretty disgusting because they get all over you. So that tells me our ratio is not right. We don't have the correct number of guineas to ticks. Are they going to be able to eradicate all the ticks out here? Absolutely not. But if we can get them to kind of stay in the main areas where, we're walking and playing with the dogs, training them, or have the goats out grazing, it should benefit us all a little bit because we're all susceptible to major tick bites out here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go through alpha-gal again. Really don't. Or any other
Speaking of, why don't you
tick-borne
kind of give them a little bit of an update? You haven't had any issues with your alpha-gal since the numbers dropped.
Yeah.
Last year.
That's true. Yeah, we do get some comments sometimes because some folks are new to the channel, or they came in after that story. Long story short, and I did not suffer like a lot of people, like JR, the gentleman that taught me about it before I even had it. That poor guy, getting it as early as he did, they didn't know to go to that for his diagnosis. So for over a year and a half, if I remember right, he was just beating up his system and didn't know why. Finally figured it out, and I believe he's on his 8th or 9th year of combating it now and has made progress, but in my case, it was about 4 months long. And because of the conversations and information JR gave, I knew to go to it quickly. So I immediately changed my diet. We cut out everything good and some, and then we introduced some back. And at the end of that 4 months, I went back to get my blood work done. The numbers were down to an acceptable level. And I slowly started reintroducing all the good foods, and now I can eat
like
anything.
Dairy and meat, things like that.
Cheese, milk,
Dairy.
but mostly steak and ground beef.
Yeah.
Had too much turkey and chicken in that time. So be mindful if you start getting weird illnesses and you've been bit by ticks or in an area where you may have been exposed to ticks, keep that in the back of your mind that if it's food driven, it may have something to do with that alpha-gal. Or Lone Star tick disease is what a lot of folks call it.
I think you need to be a little bit more specific. It's like if you get sick in a fever a few hours after you eat.
Some people rash up, some people get physically weak, some people vomit. There's a lot of different symptoms and it's not really consistent. Mine was just severe fevers. As far as I knew, it would just be about a 2.5 hour high grade fever, and I'd have to lay down in bed.
Debilitating.
Yeah, I just had to wait it out. And I was able to trace it back. Each time it started, I was able to trace it back to about 4 hours prior. I had eaten something, and then I started thinking about what it was that I had eaten, and sure enough, it was all the things you shouldn't eat when you have alpha-gal. And so we tested it, and I don't even remember what it was. It was something, there's a little bit of dairy or ranch or something that I just kind of thought, well, it's a small amount. And so I started the timer after I ate it. Sure enough, 4 hours later, boom, fever. And that was when it was time. Called the doctor, we just stopped eating anything like that. Got the blood work done, and we knew that's what it was. You just have to wait and not feed your body the things that have the flare-ups, and those numbers should go back down. That was my situation. The birds are helping you out with your little cleaning that you did yesterday.
Yeah, I made some piles yesterday. I'm hoping we can start them on fire.
Challenge accepted.
This one's a little close to the trees right here, but I didn't have the bucket on the tractor and I wasn't going to switch it out, so.
Yeah, no, it'll be a small fire. And we're really thinking this tree needs to go since it lives under that big tree. It'll just be a matter of time. And I'd really like to be able to control it so we don't take out that guide wire with a storm.
Yes.
Like that big one in the background behind you.
I think I pretty much piled everything up though, so now you just need to get your chainsaw out and start cutting stuff up into smaller pieces though.
Deal.
Okay.
I can do it.
Awesome.
All right, so you've got the incubator inside with the Broon Man, and you've put the water in it, you've got the temperature set, and it's all warmed up. You think it's ready to go?
I do.
Let's go drop some eggs in the incubator and get this party started.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
So as you guys know, we love Bruno. We love that guy. He's a great dog, but he is crate trained. So when we get him out, he does his rounds, he does all of his jobs and everything in the morning, burns all of his energy, exhausts those batteries. I think he's got 4 full capacity, high capacity batteries now, and we wear him down. The bittersweet part to the crate training is it's in the office. So we have made 0 progress on anything related to getting the office to a completed state, but it's very functional with the power. The insulation stays nice and cool, it's temperature controlled, but it's also become our staging ground for the garden and now staging ground for the guineas. So there's a lot going on up here. So it's bittersweet having the little guy up here in the crate because you don't like to come and go and rile him up, but we'll see how he's doing.
So guineas do take a little bit longer to hatch than chickens, so I did have to go in and change the number of days on here to 28 days. and the temp is still the 99.5. The humidity can be anywhere from, like, what I read, 40 to 55%. So we're at 58 right now. We're gonna run with it.
And so ultimately, when you set the amount of days and you set the humidity, it knows when it's time to turn the eggs.
Oh yeah.
And it's capable, we don't actually have to open it and turn it. It has a turntable in there. So it's basically, again, it's gonna be the exact same process Dad went through. We're just doing it with guinea eggs.
And everything I saw said put the pointy end towards the middle.
Okay.
I want to get like a mixture of the different colors, and there's some real big ones down here that I want to use. The real big ones are at the bottom, of course.
Yeah, and the color differences, it's not like chickens and different species of chickens or breeds of chickens or whatever you call them. But there's some that are kind of white, there's some that are kind of brown, there's some that are a little bit speckled. I'm way more excited about this than I probably should be.
Okay, so we have a pretty good variety of like the dark ones and the light ones.
And no, we have absolutely no idea which one's laid which, but I think, are all of our females the lavenders? Or is it one pearl and two lavenders?
No, I think it's all the females are lavenders.
Okay. So yeah, the variety of guineas that we have here is, well, none. Okay, so you got them in there, you got the lid on. Now what do you do?
I got them in there. You want to test it and make sure that they actually roll whenever you turn it, because it'll automatically turn them for you like 3 times a day.
I'm definitely seeing all of these are turning.
Okay, we're good to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a no touch at this point, right? Like you set it and...
You just have to keep adding water so it keeps the humidity up.
All right.
Yeah, we just let it sit.
That is exciting. So we have the potential to grow our bird army to 29. Oh man.
Still gonna be an odd number.
She's killing me with these numbers.
You don't know that they're all gonna hatch.
I know it. But yeah, so maybe somewhere between 20 and 25 birds by the time it's all said and done. And our hope is that our current 7 will train new Keats to be just like them.
Yes, that's our hope. We'll see what happens.
We'll see how that goes. So at this point, we will let them continue, obviously, to lay in what we think is going to be their new nest where those 2 eggs are. We'll have to wait a few hours to check and see if they lay there again today, but we have not disturbed them. I have noticed, like yesterday when I walk up to the birds and it was just me, I didn't have any of the dogs with me, the goats weren't out. The birds are very okay with me. And I think a lot of that comes with the imprinting they did when they were younger. Because I mean, I handled them, took them out of the brooder, put them in the chicken coop for about a week and a half or so, and I would carry them back each evening. And so we really bonded. I didn't realize that's what we were doing, but we really bonded. And so I can go up, and as long as I say something to them, you know, they hear my voice, they know it's me, they'll let me walk right up to the nest. They don't really get defensive, they don't turn at me. You know, the boys will watch me, but they don't like get between me and the hens or me and the eggs. Now, one of the dogs runs over there and just gets a little too close, a little too fast. They go into formation and it's the whole 9 yards. So we at least now are collecting enough that we can eat some, and then we're forcefully incubating some to try to have some Keats. Whatever they do with their nest naturally, that's what they're gonna do. And we're gonna do our best to keep predators out, or we start collecting a few at a time and see if we can...
Once they have a nest established and it's in a safe place, once they have at least half a dozen or so, then we can start taking a few per day. But I definitely don't want to rush it. But I also don't want to just leave nests laying around. We got to collect the eggs.
Yeah, and if we did, they would disappear to snakes. And
yeah, it's just inviting more predators out here.
All right, so today is June 1st, which kind of makes our math easy on the guinea eggs. So we're gonna see how that goes. Hopefully about 28-ish days from now, we've got some new guinea Keats for the bird herd. I don't know if you hear our other G animals, but those are our goats. And they say, it's time to graze. Hi, kiddos.
You guys ready?
Herc man, what's up, buddy?
Hi, Herc.
Come here, big guy. See you later. You gotta stop and say hi. No, you don't. You're excited. Spirited Loose, what's up, man? Ouija. The entire Blues crew together. All right, well, I'm gonna goat sit for a little while and let them eat and graze and help me mow. And we'll keep you guys posted on the guineas and the nests and the predators and, you know, our normalcy. Well, guys, we love and appreciate each and every one of you. We thank you so much for coming on this journey with us. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. What is this? Herc, ready?